Today, I've been given a topic beyond HR functions, unlocking your full potential. I often reflect on how much the HR landscape has evolved. It's honestly fascinating. And there was a time when HR was seen mostly as the people police or the department you go to for pay slips, leave portals, leave approvals. Not even portals. There was no portal then. Leave approval or to file complaints. We were the custodian of forms, files, policies, etc. But today, that version of HR is long gone. What we're witnessing now is a complete transformation of our profession. HR has moved from the back room to the boardroom. We're no longer just processing payroll. We are influencing organizational strategy, shaping culture, and leading complex change initiatives. You see me emphasizing things again and again and again today. Once has he spoken, twice have we heard. Aha. So I say faith comes by hearing, and you hear again, and you hear again. So I can say one thing 1,000 times today, just to re-emphasize it. And whatever it is I say continuously, please pay attention. Because again, by the help of God, these are things we have also done. We have not arrived, but we are not where we used to be. So some of these things, we looked at those that have gone ahead of us. This is what they did, and they told us they did, and we saw that they really did this, and we did it, and we are still doing it, and it's shifting us forward. So you can't miss it if you pay attention to what we are doing today. So in the past, if there was a restructuring, HR would just be handed a list and asked to implement. All of us that were veterans, on this call, we know this. But now, we're in the room helping to design structure. We're the ones saying, let's build an organizational model that is agile, scalable, and future-proof. I've taught that model. I think that's what we are even still dealing with in our Sunday classes again and again. And we are backing it up with workforce planning data and predictive analytics. We are now expected to wear multiple hats. One moment, you're looking at engagement metrics from your... I was talking about what we do now, how we co-facilitate strategy sessions with the C-suites. And in one of the organizations I know, we realized through exit interviews and pulse surveys that a lack of career visibility was one of the top drivers of turnover among high potentials. So instead of running another generic, uh, instead of running another generic training program, we built a career development framework, tied to competency models with clear learning pathways and manager enablement. And the result, attrition dropped and internal mobility shot up. I mean, that's HR driving value. That's real HR driving value. And that's what we're supposed to be doing today. So let's not also ignore what tech has done for us, has done to us, and for us. Many of our traditional functions, payroll, benefits administration, even the basic onboarding have been automated or outsourced in our organizations. We know this, which means our relevance no longer lies in how quickly we can process a request, but in how deeply we can partner with the business. So it's not about how we respond to directives. It's about how we can now partner, be a real business partner to the organization. We are being asked to be architects of employee experience, to design moments that matter from hiring to retiring, that keep our people engaged and very productive. And that takes empathy, but also systems thinking. It goes beyond just, hiring and firing to designing systems, designing real experience that keep our people engaged and productive. And so it's about creating inclusive policies, equitable performance systems, and reward strategies that will really reflect the realities of a multi-generational hybrid workforce, the kind that we have today. And this is where the shift must happen, especially for those coming up in the field. We need to stop seeing ourselves as support staff and start showing up as strategic enablers. We need to stop letting them define who we are for ourselves. We need to up our game as internal consultants, as change agents. That means continuously investing in our own upskilling, understanding business acumen, data literacy, digital fluency, and yes, emotional intelligence too. Because the truth is, the future of HR is already here. Future is here and it's sitting in front of us and it's demanding more than ever before. More insights, more innovation, more intentionality. So if you are still measuring your HR success by how fast you close tickets or how neatly your files are kept, you might be playing the wrong game. It's not the HR of today you're supposed to be playing. You're supposed to have come with the likes of Obafemi Awolowo, and Nnamdi Azikiwe. Today's HR is about impact. As simple as that, impact. It's about outcomes. It's about making sure that our people agenda is not a side conversation, but the central driver of business success. So let me leave this slide like this and move to the next slide because I've dwelt so much on that. So we look at the new HR identity. We can't keep showing up with the same old playbook. I've said that times and again. The HR identity has changed. In fact, it's still changing. What we are seeing is a total shift from being administrators and compliance officers to being strategic enablers of business outcomes. It's no longer enough to be efficient. We have to be transformational. And what that means is that we are stepping into the role of change leaders, not just supporting transformation from the sidelines, but we are driving it. Think about all of the reorganizations, digital transformations, mergers, new leadership philosophies, name it. We can't just be the ones updating the organizational chart. We need to be the ones helping define what the new culture should look like and how to embed it. For example, in one of the organizations that I also know, they were undergoing a digital transformation, but the culture was still analog. So while this CIO, that's the Chief Information Officer, was updating systems, we in HR were looking behind the scenes on mindset shifts, coaching leaders on digital fluency, redesigning reward systems just to encourage innovation and update performance metrics to focus on agility and not hierarchy. This is what I call transformation leadership. And this is the role we're expected to step into. I hope I'm not altering your theology today, your understanding of HR. If I am, sincere apologies. But this is where HR is moving to. And if we are not leading it, then we are doing catch up. If we are not where we are supposed to be now, the next generation, I mean, they're going to show us so much harm. Because them no send. So the way we think about the workforce itself has evolved. Gone are those days of only planning for full-time permanent roles. And now we're designing workforce ecosystem. And that includes freelancers, all of these gig workers everywhere, consultants, including artificial intelligence, the tools. You just name it. So when we are doing workforce planning now, it's no longer just about headcounts. It's about skills pools and capability mapping. So we need to have this understanding and factor it into what we do, how we do HR in our organization. Then there's this often underestimated piece, HR as a brand and the voice of culture. Whether we like it or not, people experience the brand through all of us in the organization, from how we onboard to how we handle exits to the tone of our internal communications. I mean, they experience the brand through all of us, HR professionals in the organization. I always tell our HR teams, even some of us on this call, that your EVP is not just what you post on LinkedIn. It has to be how people feel in your organization every single day. So HR has to take ownership of that narrative. It has to take ownership of that narrative. So all of these employee value proposition that you just post and that you paste around, that's not how it should be done. It should be how people feel every day in your organization. That's the real value proposition you are delivering. And of course, we can't talk about modern HR without talking about tech. Digital and agile HR is not a luxury anymore. It is a necessity. Whether it's automating low-value tasks with artificial intelligence, or you're using design thinking for process improvement, we need to adopt what I call iterative tech-enabled approaches. I mean, I've seen teams spend months delivering a performance process only to roll it out and realize it doesn't fit the culture. So what if we prototyped what small groups, we prototype with a small team first, a small group first. That's the agile mindset that we need, not the waterfall kind of project management that spend years developing something only to find out that time has passed by and what we have spent time developing is no longer relevant. Now, underpinning all of this is data. If you are still making people decisions based on gut feel, you are going to get left behind. Data literacy is not just for the HRIS team anymore. It's not for the tech guys anymore. It's not for the data analysts anymore. It's for all of us. And towards the end of last year, I spent a bit of time dwelling on this issue around data analytics, HR analytics. If you miss those classes, you can consult our YouTube page. You will see them there. All our courses are absolutely free. We need to know how to reach dashboards, how to read them, how to interpret trends, how to translate numbers into action, because that's how we earn our seat at the table. Imagine your boss calling you to present a report and you are showing tables, table of 1,000 employees, 2,000 employees. You want to board the guy. You don't create butterflies in the stomach of members of the management team like that. You create butterflies. You create credibility for yourself by just showing a single dashboard. Even if you have 1,000,000 employees, you present the report with one single dashboard, with charts, pivot charts, and slicers that they can click and sort things. That's how you earn your seat at the table. And while we are there, let's not forget DEIB, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. We've moved past checkbox diversity. What we're talking about right now, we're talking about equity in systems, how promotions happen, how feedback is given, whose voice is heard in meetings. So DIB must be embedded in everything, and I mean everything, including the design of employee experiences and every other thing we do in the organization. Because people are no longer staying in places where they don't feel seen, where they don't feel valued, where they don't feel safe. So if it's you and your clique that are still running things, they will leave you alone and go and sort themselves out. I'm going to leave that for the sake of time. What about remote work and well-being? That's the next point, as you can see on your screen. That's another big shift. The conversation has moved from where people work to how they thrive. We can't just offer yoga apps and call it wellness like we do in our organizations. We have to look at workload management. Yes, workload management. Don't kill kete kete before it's time. Psychological safety, flexible work design as core components of productivity. Some of you, the amount of work you give the employees, or maybe line managers give the employees, they give some of you, you will start shouting mental health. Then there's learning culture and talent branding. The best candidates today are not just looking for compensations. I mean, I've recently conducted recruitment exercise. They are not looking for compensation. They are asking, what will I learn here? How will this role position me for what's coming next? If we are not building learning pathways and marketing our growth culture, we keep losing the best talent to competitors who are. You keep losing. And I wish your CEO or members of your management team are here hearing. You say you know send, you always get people, you know send, you are sharp, or more, now you go get. People left behind who are not skilled, who can't drive the competition, who can't drive change, who can gain and maintain competitive edge for the company are the ones that will be left. So keep firing them. If firing, don't listen to them. Fire at the end of the day. By the time you are doing your annual reports, you will understand that you should have told a different direction. So in essence, we have to be strategic, not by sitting in meetings and saying HR has a seat at the table, no, but by demonstrating it. Yes, we demonstrate being strategic. That means aligning our people strategy to business objectives, using metrics that matter, contributing to the broader change agenda, and We can't wait until leadership gaps emerge to start thinking about succession. Leadership development has to be embedded into the employee life cycle, from when they are embedded to exit interviews. I always say, don't just fill roles, build pipelines, future-proof your leadership bench. One last thing, sustainability. ESG. ESG. I think that's the new, lingo now. It's not just for the finance or compliance team. We are in HR, and we in HR have to champion sustainable people practices. What kind of work environments are we creating? Are we supporting ethical labor practices? Are policies supporting long-term societal well-being? All of these questions we must ask, because if you're not supporting the environment, then what are you doing as a people manager? And perhaps most importantly, we have to move from just listening to employees to actually co-creating with them. Yes, co-create. Everybody wants to have a voice. And what that means is that you are involving them in shaping policies, systems, and even culture. If you want to build workplaces that work, we have to stop building for employees and start building with them. If you don't build with them, this new generation coming, I tell you, I'm sure some of us that are advanced in age, some of them are your children. They want to know why. They want to know the why behind every directive, behind every act, behind every task. Why? So gone are those days that you just dish out directives and you tell everybody to go and comply. They will frustrate it. And if they are skilled enough, the next day they are with your competition. Abi, shake a generation that will do 3 months and tell you they deserve a long service award. So if you don't co-create with them and you are co-creating for them, they are going to leave you. So yes, the face of HR has changed. And if you are still showing up the way you did 5 years ago, before COVID, it's time to reinvent yourself, because the organizations that will thrive tomorrow are the ones with HR teams who are not just competent, but courageous, they are curious, and they are constantly evolving. So the word is enough for the wise. Let's move to the key pillars for a future-proof HR career. And number one, lead yourself. One of the things we don't talk about enough in HR, ironically, is leadership of self. Yes, we are so focused on leadership, development frameworks, what else now? Coaching others, building succession pipelines, managing teams, etc., etc. But let me ask, how often do we turn that mirror back on ourselves? How often? Believe it or not, before you can lead anyone else effectively, before you can truly inspire, before you can truly influence or drive change, you have to lead yourself first. And I'm not talking about fancy titles or self-motivation quotes on your desk or on your LinkedIn post. Talking about intentionality, personal governance, internal alignment. Look at me, I don't have crisis. So the only person I'm in competition with is myself. I am around myself, within myself, leading myself. So I can't have high blood pressure because I am not in competition with anyone. I am deliberate about my growth, intentional about my development, set goals, and push towards the accomplishment of the goal. So, how did it get here? It starts with purpose clarity. Purpose clarity. It's not everything they do, I do. It's not every new thing I jump on. It has to align with my God-ordained purpose on earth. And let me ask, this is how you know whether you are living purposefully or not. Whether you are just, even the HR profession, whether you follow somebody come here or you were really designed for HR. Why are you doing this work? Don't answer. Don't answer. But if you answer now, Ashirima too. Why? Hunger, no job. But you love somebody gave you HR role and you entered. Why HR? Why this role? Why this season? If your only driver is the paycheck or the position, you are going to burn out quickly. Or worse, you stagnate and still stay. You're going to, because I mean, you are not going to do this job with enthusiasm. So those that were natives of the job, those that were wired for the HR job, they are going to come and beat you 10 times, every time, all the time. You burn out, you stagnate. But if you are clear on your why, when you are clear on your why, you're going to show up differently. You move from just executing tasks to driving meaning, from being busy to being impactful. I've chosen my line. I choose my battles. It's not every outing I honor. If it does not align with my core purpose, impact, especially people development. Yes, I'm reiterating. That's how you see me jump on. You don't need to pay me to come and facilitate. I jump on it because that's the purpose of my existence. Capacity development, lifting people from nothingness to, by the help of God, because it's only Him that has the grace, that releases the grace for that. This is my why. You don't need to pay me for it. It's my hobby. I am wired for this. So in HR, it's not everything they do, I do. I do what aligns with my why, with my purpose. So no matter the kind of frustration they throw at me, it doesn't move me because it's a hobby. Giving me more of that responsibility. As long as it's in that space. If it's not in this space, I quietly walk. Yes, I walk away and move closer to the responsibilities that align with my why. And I stay with the why. And there is food everywhere. There is money everywhere. There are salaries everywhere. Just make sure you are not collecting money and losing your mental health. You are losing your time. In your dying bed, if you look back to the years you spent, will you be glad? Can you say of a truth that you've lived, you had a well-lived life, or it will be full of regrets? If it's going to be full of regrets, it's time to rethink. Rethink. Move from being busy to being really impactful, really fulfilling, living a fulfilled life. If you start today, it may look like you're not going to get the right paycheck for doing that you have been wired to do. But in the long run, there is money everywhere. Your checks will find you. So everything looked great on paper, but I began to feel disconnected. Not because the job was bad, but because I had lost clarity around my own why. I had to step back, realign, and ask myself, what's the bigger picture here? What is the bigger picture here? What kind of impact do I want to leave in this space? And that process re-energized me. And it's what positioned me to make better strategic career decisions, not just reactive ones. So the impact of that kind of alignment is massive. When you are anchored in purpose, it reflects in how you show up at the table, how you manage conflict, how you navigate change, and how you hold others accountable. It becomes easier to say no to distractions. Yes, you have the right to say no to distractions. And you have a right to say yes to growth. Purpose becomes your compass. And in this profession, with the amount of noise we deal with on a daily basis, changing regulations, tech disruptions, complex people dynamics, you need a strong internal compass. If not, you will drown. Your mental health will be toyed with. So I want to link this back to the HR practice. One of the biggest responsibilities we have as HR leaders is modeling the behavior we expect others to demonstrate. Yes, can't advocate for employee well-being while we are personally running on fumes. We can't talk about values, the alignment of values, if we ourselves have not done the hard work of identifying and living by our values. Yes, self-leadership is not about perfection. It's about congruence, integrity, and personal accountability. You must be accountable to yourself. It's about managing your own energy before you manage other people's engagements. About building your emotional intelligence, understanding your triggers, setting boundaries, being coachable. Yes, being coachable. Have someone that can hold you accountable. Staying curious, about knowing your capacity and constantly investing in your own growth, professionally, intellectually, and even spiritually. Yes, I'm a spirit being, I have a soul, I live in the body, and I don't joke with God. We are not shy to say we are deeply, deeply God's errand boy. That is my number one goal on earth, to align with God and to stay connected to Him. Outside Him, I'm finished. So when we talk about developing others, let's not forget, you can't pour from an empty cup. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And you shouldn't be trying to lead others while you are still unclear about your own direction. You shouldn't be trying to lead the organization when you yourself don't have a direction. So as far as I'm concerned, purpose clarity is one of the most underrated leadership competencies in HR. And we talk about business acumen, we talk about data literacy, we talk about agility, and all of those are very, very valid. They are very valid points. But without purpose, we risk becoming high-performing professionals who are internally misaligned. Internally misaligned. And that always leaks out in the way we make decisions, in our relationships, and in culture. Because your core values will be saying a different thing. You are doing a different thing because you are not aligned. So the challenge is simple. Before you lead others, lead yourself. Before you remove the log of wood in another person's eyes, remove the speck in your own. And do this with clarity, with consistency, and with purpose. Because when you do that, you don't just build a career. What you are building is a legacy. Again, I'll leave that there and move to the next slide. Number 2, the pillars. Continuously update your skills. One of the most underrated risks in our profession is becoming professionally obsolete. And it doesn't happen overnight. It happens softly. One day, you are the go-to person for a particular skill. Oh, everybody is flocking around you. You know, they are hailing you. They are hailing you. But the next, you are struggling to catch up because the landscape has completely shifted. I always say this, the HR skills that got us here are not necessarily the ones that will take us where we need to go next. Huh? I know say no be transport fare carry you reach here, na grace. But you cooperated with the grace by going to school and by learning what you needed to learn. It brought you here. But with the emergence of all of these diverse things I have been mentioning since, DEIBs, ESGs, all of these AIs, robotics, the gig economy and all of that, the skills that brought you here are not what will take you to the next level. The world of work is evolving so fast, driven by tech disruption, global uncertainty, hybrid work models, shifting employee expectations, and that static knowledge that you have just doesn't cut it anymore. What's relevant today could be outdated in 18 months. 18 months. We're talking about the future of work in 2019. All of a sudden, even early 2020s, all of a sudden, I think I was in Dubai. All of a sudden, lockdown came and everything was fast forwarded. Everything from nowhere, Zoom came. Everybody was doing catch up. The future was fast forwarded 10 years. So in 18 months, you don't know what's coming. Next month, you don't know. You don't know. So a simple example. Remember when payroll used to be a manual process? I know some of us started our careers with Excel sheets and checks. But today, if all you know is manual payroll, you are several steps behind. Tools like Sage, Bamboo HR, Zoho, Payroll, all of them have redefined payroll management now. And these systems are automated. They are cloud-based. They are integrated with accounting, and compliance tools. And employers are expecting HR to manage and optimize them. Yes, they are expecting you now to know Sage. If I start calling some names here, some technologies, I know I'm going to cause, inconvenience for some of us. So let's just flow along like this. But if you don't know technology, HR technologies, my dear, please be uncomfortable. Be uncomfortable with yourself until you dig deep and you brush up. Because these new guys that are coming, they don't get respect. They'll have respect. And what the employers want is who will do the job. So it's the same across the board. Basic employee surveys, that's no longer enough. Now, talking about advanced people analytics, using platforms like SAP Success Factors, Workday, to generative insights, to, predictive insights generation. Who is likely to leave? Where are the burnout risks? How do we correlate performance with engagement score? If you don't have a working knowledge of these platforms, or at least an appreciation of what data-driven HRI looks like, it's going to become difficult to contribute strategically. Everybody go to talk, you go to look their mouth, because you don't know. all you know is pushing papers. So to retain your seat at the table, if you already have one, or to grab a seat at the table, please pay attention. Pay attention to all that God is helping us to share today. And it is the doer of the word that are blessed, not the hearers alone. So that's why learnability, the ability and willingness to keep learning, has become the most valuable competency for HR professionals today. Companies are not just looking for people with 20 years experience anymore. They are looking for people with 1 year of relevant experience repeated 20 times and built upon every time. Built upon every time. They keep reinventing themselves. They keep learning. I think we will dwell more on that with the next slide. So agility, adaptability, resilience, just name it. Those are not just buzzwords anymore. They are survivor skills. Survivor skills. And I always challenge my team with this. What new skill have you added to your toolkit in the last 6 months? I mean, at the same skill will bring you here. Now you still get. Even me, the big fish, I'm always on the internet, learning something from Coursera, learning something from LinkedIn Learning, learning something from YouTube, researching Google, asking ChatGPT, updating my knowledge, looking at frameworks, looking at toolkits, and then you are here because you have a stable job. You think you have job security. If you don't brush up, the system will shake you off. It doesn't have to be a massive certification. Sometimes it's taking a free course on AI in HR, attending a webinar like you are doing now, or just reading a book on behavioral economics to understand what truly motivates people. These are what we're expected to do and be. And now, the bar has moved. The definition of being qualified in HR has changed. Yes, technical knowledge is still important, but what keeps you professionally relevant is your ability to evolve. Lifelong learning is no longer a nice to have, is the new baseline. The new baseline. In fact, some of the most impressive professionals I know today are not just the ones who know everything. They are the ones who are constantly curious. You've seen so many of the generals, and I know some of them. There was one name that came to mind now, but I don't want to mention him because he's of a religious sect. The General Overseer of RCCG, Pastor Yadiba, keeps asking questions. How can we do this? He's learning new things from these new generational churches. He's asking questions. I mean, he's a CEO of the organization he's overseeing, but he never rests on his oars. And that's my mentor. Because if a man at that age is still learning new things, how old am I, for crying out loud? So we must constantly evolve, constantly maintain curiosity, and constantly ask, what's next? What's changing? And how can I get ahead of it? So if we are honest with ourselves, and we should be, as HR leaders, we can't afford to stand still, because in today's talent economy, standing still is not standing still. Standing still is actually falling behind. Our careers, just like the organizations we serve, need continuous reskilling and upskilling. And that's how we future-proof ourselves. Let's move to the next slide. I think I'm going to jump that next slide because I have dwelt more on it in the last slide. But maybe for emphasis, maybe I shouldn't jump it. I found that one of the smartest career strategies today especially for us, it's not just building a strong resume. Yes, it's building a strong learning rhythm. A strong learning rhythm. Lifelong learning has moved, just as I said earlier, from being something we just say in theory to something we must now actively embed in how we work and how we grow. And I'm not just talking about how, I'm not talking about attending the occasional seminars like the ones we are doing now. After the seminar now, you go again, you wait for the next seminar. No. Or maybe renewing your membership points with CIPM. Talking about deliberate strategic learning, learning that expands your capacity to play at the executive table and link HR work to business value. Let me give you a cute example. I was in a strategy session once where the CFO asked, what's the ROI on that leadership development program HR is proposing? And it was awkward because no one from HR could answer confidently. Now, imagine how powerful it would be if you, as an HR business partner, could respond, positively. Maybe saying things like, CFO, we've projected a 3.2 times ROI based on anticipated improvements, in retention and internal mobility. That's responding positively, speaking the language of the business, speaking the language the CFO and the MD will understand and relate with. Speaking that language, that's a different level of conversation. That's business HR, not just operational HR. And that's why I often tell HR professionals, don't limit your learning to just HR textbooks or policies. Go learn the language of finance. Understand things like EBITDA, cost per hire, time to productivity, things around training ROI. These are the metrics that business leaders care about, not hire and fire, not head counts. These are the metrics that they really care about. Learn how your new performance management system can actually impact revenue growth or reduce operational costs. And the world is not waiting for you to catch up. Yes, I've said that times and again. We're dealing with AI disruption in recruitment, AI disrupting recruitment, automation changing workforce models, hybrid work creating new challenges around engagement. What else? And so much, noise everywhere, so much disruption, so much, permit me to use this word, holy catastrophe, in the business space. So we also need to learn the basics of tech, even if you are not in HRIS or talent acquisition. What's the role of machine learning in predicting attrition? How do algorithms affect candidate sourcing on platforms, like LinkedIn? You need to know. We watch, what's this thing we watch now? Netflix. We watch Netflix too much. You stay on TikTok too much. You stay on Reels too much. Just swiping and swiping and swiping. 30 minutes is gone. 45 minutes is gone. You can't account for what you have done with your time. The same data some of us use to earn more than 200 certificates in 1 year. Yes. You say I'm proud. Yes. I need you to be this proud. You at least earn 10 self, earn 20. And for some of you that want to doubt it, I can show you. In 1 year, I earned more than 200 certificates. The same data that you used to watch TikTok, that you used to watch Taoma and Macaroni and Jennifer, is the same data I used to improve myself. And that's why it looks like I'm robust. I have not arrived, but I am not where I used to be. The good news is, it's never been easier to learn. We're no longer expected or restricted let me use restricted to classrooms. And I expected to go to classrooms to learn now. You know, you know, this training is no longer restricted to classroom training or expensive executives program at all of these business schools around the world. If you are really intentional, you can pick up a micro credential in any course, say HR analytics, from a top university on Coursera. Aha, on Coursera, and it's legal. I did a course with Yale University on Coursera. I've done courses with international schools on Coursera, with Google, almighty Google, on Coursera. Or you jump on LinkedIn Learning and take a course in strategic workforce planning. I've even seen people upskill by volunteering in project-based teams where they get hands-on experience building new HR initiatives from the scratch. I mean, that's real world learning. Real world learning. It's not until you go to UI or IFE or Nnamdi Azikiwe University that you learn. You don't need to travel abroad. From the corners of your, comforts of your home, you can gain the same world-class knowledge that those in Harvard gain by connecting online. So this profession, curiosity is your biggest competitive advantage. The people who ask better questions, who stretch themselves beyond the job description, who understand what's happening in marketing, in operations, in finance, those are the ones who are becoming truly indispensable. Yes, who know strategy goals, how to craft 3-year strategy goals, how to cascade it down into an annual plan, break it down into quarterly objectives, draw KPIs, set targets, and the initiatives that will drive the objectives. These are the people, that will dominate this space. These are the ones that are becoming truly indispensable. So make learning a habit, not just something you do for your next promotion. Read across disciplines, follow global HR leaders, join virtual conferences, talk to mentors in other industries. We live in a world where standing still is not neutral. As I've said earlier, is backsliding. It's a backwards move. Standing still is a backwards move because every other thing is on motion. Only you are standing still. So if you make learning your career strategy, you won't just remain relevant, you remain valuable. And in HR, that's the edge that gets you into the room where decisions are made. And that's the edge that keeps you there. I'll leave that and move to the next slide. Any certifications. One thing I love saying again, especially to younger HR professionals or those transitioning into the field, if you are serious about a long-term career in HR, you've got to treat it like a profession, not just a job. And one of the clearest ways to demonstrate that it's a real profession is by getting certified and staying actively connected to the HR professional community. You think CIPM is paying some of us? CIPM is not paying us. But how do I do my life if I break away from CIPM? How do I get access to resources, templates, frameworks, all of the new lingos in town that drive me to learn more? How? So if you are asking you to join CIPM, we are doing you a favor because staying outside the professional circle, you're going to dry up. The HR landscape today is competitive and global. The days when having HR in your job role title was enough are gone. these days, employers are really looking, they're looking for clear, visible signals of competence. Clear, visible signals of competence. Imagine having these logos on your screen in your resume. You know what that signals to employers. So these days, employers are looking for clear, visible signals of competence, certifications, whether is CIPM here in Nigeria, SHRIM, HRCI, or CIPD in the UK, send a strong message. They say, I know what I'm doing, I'm plugged into global best practices, and I'm committed to grow. And for all of us here, I encourage international certifications. I've been invited by CIPD. I've not just gone because I weighed the subscription. When I did the conversion, it's like 500,000 naira annually. And it's not a license for me to practice HR in Nigeria. The only license I need to practice HR in Nigeria is CIPM. If I'm practicing HR without being a member of CIPM, it's like a doctor practicing medicine without a license. It's like a lawyer who has not gone to the law school practicing law. So I stay with CIPM. So I have a license to practice HR. But if you can afford it, go beyond just CIPM. Go to CIPD. Go to SHRIM. Go and do SPHRI, GPHRI, so that you expand your knowledge. You expand your knowledge. And it's not just about having letters behind your name. These programs test your grasp of real-world HR challenges. Everything from compliance and strategy to ethics, analytics, and workforce planning, they are going to enhance it. I remember when I was preparing for some of the certifications I have, I had to unlearn a few outdated practices and stretch my thinking with new frameworks. It wasn't easy, but it sharpened my approach significantly. And suddenly, I wasn't just reacting to HR issues, I was anticipating them and shaping them. I'm still shaping today. It's the shaping that brought us here. And for those still in school or early in your careers, starting early can be a major game changer. It's going to be a major, game changer for your career. Imagine you in your, final year or early in your career, and you already have the CIPM certification. That's instantly setting you apart from a pool of other, competitors, other members that of your team in the same pool. So a word is enough for the wise because of our time. Let me move to the next slide. Master data and tech skills. Gone are those days when HR could not just focus on soft stuff and leverage tech to IT, leverage technology to do what they do, and they are leaving it to those in finance and IT. No. Today, the most influential HR practitioners, the ones who are truly strategic, are the ones who are tech literate and data driven. They are tech literate and data driven. Think about recruitment. Recruitment is no longer enough. It's no longer enough to say we had 100 applicants and hired 2. So we are expected to know, where did those applicants come from? What stage are we losing the most candidates? What's our cost per hire across different channels? And to answer those questions confidently, you need to be working with your ATLs, applicant tracking systems, tools like Greenhouse, etc., etc. Even, I said it times and again, learning Excel can give you the needed edge. I recently conducted recruitment exercise, and to present the report, I think I had about 4,000 candidates, 4,000 applicants. So it was Excel I used to manage the whole thing and present the report. So beyond recruitment, take performance management. So this platform, and I don't want to be mentioning some of these software, so we can't be doing free advert for them. All these softwares don't just help you manage reviews. They're going to give you patterns, trends, predictive indicators. But again, only if you know how to extract those insights. And this is where tools like Excel, Power BI, or Tableau, are coming to play. You should be able to create a dashboard that shows real-time attrition risk by departments, or link engagement scores with performance outcomes. You should be able to do this, Again, I'm not going to dwell much on this because we have videos on this already. And it's not just about the heavy duty tools, even things as basic as, your Google Sheets. All of us have it. Once you are an Android user, you have a Google account, you have a Google Sheets, collaborative docs, Slack workflows are transforming how we manage HR projects. That is onboarding, employee surveys, or hybrid team collaboration. Being digitally fluent, makes you faster, more efficient, more strategic in what you do. And the bigger picture here is that digital transformation is happening across the board. Yes, happening across the board. And HR cannot afford to be on the sidelines. When tech conversations are happening in the organization, whether it's about automation, AI, talent acquisition, etc., integrating new systems, you need to be at that table, not as guests, not as supporters, but as strategic contributors, Benny, contributing to the conversation. And that's why I say being tech savvy is no longer a nice to have. It's no longer a nice to have. It's a core must have now. It's core to your professional currency. It's part of how you earn your seat at the table and how you keep it. So if there's any area you are still hesitant about, maybe Power BI feels intimidating, or you are still avoiding diving deep into human resource information system, this is the time to learn it. Take a course, pair up with a colleague, practice, humble yourself, and learn from those you are older than, but that are older than you technologically. All these young people, they are digital natives. Learn from them, practice on real data, because the future of HR is digital and the future is now. I'll leave that there. Let's move to the next slide. Build professional brand around your competence. You need to build professional brand around your competence. And I don't mean just your resume or your certificate sitting somewhere on a shelf or in a drawer. I'm talking about how you show up in the professional world. How you show up in the professional, especially in this digital age where visibility is a kind of currency. Visibility. How did I get here? I'm not better than some of you. I was just deliberate about my personal brand. You can't see me posting. I post deliberately. I am intentional about what I post. I live like you. I rap so well like you. I sometimes get emotional like you do too. But I manage my emotions. It's not everything you push on social media. Especially the young ones, the Gen Zs. Why are you dancing Joe Didirin for on TikTok? That's not enhancing your brand. That's reducing from it. It's not enhancing. It's not enhancing your brand. Whatever it is that will not enhance your brand, please don't do. Don't bring on social media what will not enhance your brand. Think about LinkedIn. It's not just a job board or an online CV. It's a platform where you can tell your story. Yeah, LinkedIn is a platform where you can tell your story now. So when you finish a course, you come there and post it. You post it and we all see, we give thumbs up to you in our mind. This guy is intentional. This guy is becoming professional. This guy is becoming a thought leader. And that's how you build credibility. That's how you build credibility. And these little sharings do two things. One, they position you as someone who is actively learning and staying current. And two, they start to build your voice in the industry. That's how we started. Today, I'm everywhere. If you type my name, last time I did that on Google, I am everywhere. And now one day you go start. So make today the day you start. Make a commitment to start today. People begin to associate your name with thoughtful insights, not just job titles. They begin to associate your name with thoughtful insights. Make a commitment to start today. After this, in fact, as I'm talking now, prepare, even if it's one bullet point, post on LinkedIn about your space. That as you become consistent, you are disciplined enough to become consistent, you are building your brand. Think about practical ways to showcase your competence. Drafting an employee handbook during an internship, or lead a small onboarding improvements project. Put that into a portfolio. Digital if you can. So when you network or interview, you are not just talking about what you can do. You are showing that you have done it. Real case studies, real outcomes. That's powerful. And to make this practical, please let's pause, all of us in this place. Just share your LinkedIn account now. Share your LinkedIn account in the chat room. Oh, sorry, I muted. So I was saying the content you share on social media, on all of these platforms, they are what culminated into your professional identity. It's not a one-off effort. Personal branding. You have to be consistent. And these contents you share, whether the comments you make when somebody makes a post or what you share on your status. Professionals, our status, they are not supporting what we are trying to project. What you share on your status, sir and ma, sirs and mas, they are contradicting. You are a confused brand to us, because you are projecting yourself as a different brand, and what you are sharing is projecting a different thing. All of your social accounts, please be intentional about what you share. All of the media that you have, both WhatsApp, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, all of these platforms, all of the things you post are the total sum. Yes, the things you post are the total sum of who you are. Our perception of you. It's not who you call yourself that you are to us. It's our perception of you that defines who you are to us. And that's how we will treat you. That's how we will treat you. So when you are intentional about this, your brand tells a story that goes beyond I'm employable. It says I'm indispensable. It signals that you are not just keeping up, but you are shaping how HR is evolving. And that's what gets you noticed by hiring managers and by those that need your services, by mentors, by thought leaders alike. So my advice is lean into your competence, document your journey, and share it authentically. Be the HR professional who is not only skilled, but visible, credible, and trusted in your space. A word is enough for the wise. I like us to move to the next slide. 7, find mentors and communities of growth. if there's one thing I can't overstate for anyone serious about growing in HR, is the power of mentorship and community. I have mentors, not one, mentors. So we're not just talking about having someone who give you advice here. We're not talking about someone who give you advice. A good mentor is really a game changer in your journey of life. Someone who challenges your mindset, who broadens your perspective, and sometimes points you towards opportunities you wouldn't have found on your own. Opportunities you wouldn't have found on your own. And honestly, for many emerging HR professionals, like some of us on this call, that relationship can be the difference between plateauing in your role and or taking your career to a whole new level. Yes, it can be the game changer needed, you know. What will determine the difference between zenithing in your role or taking your career to a whole new level. Please note that mentorship does not just happen by chance. It doesn't happen by chance. You need to be intentional about it. You need to be intentional about it. You can start by tapping into formal mentorship programs, you know, your professional body like CIPM offer, you know, and from there, if that's not an option, look around at your industry events, conferences, this kind of webinar. And I'm going to plead with us, the organizers of this event, please, let's network. Okay, we're already doing it. Let's before we leave, let's let people connect. You know, I've seen people reach out to senior HR leaders through those kind of platforms. You know, ask simply for a 15 minutes virtual coffee, you know, a chat. Ask. And most of the time, they'll say yes. They'll say yes. I was speaking with them at the University of Ibadan yesterday. And after the session, I had another like 1 hour session, informal sessions with the students who just waylaid me, permit me to use that language, and felt I shouldn't go. I had to, I mean, they were satisfied yesterday because I had all their time. And those kind of conversations, they motivate me, they energize me. They energize me. Ask about their career path, how they navigated challenges, like, you know, change management, digital transformation, how they got where they are. That kind of dialogue does it does more than inspire. It is going to give you actionable insights you can bring back to your workplace. Those kind of conversation with mentors. I don't want to be putting some of my mentors on the spot, but I have some of them that had helped my life to where I am now, and they are still mentoring me. So they are invaluable, but don't overlook the role of communities of growth. Communities of growth. Join your local HR chapter. If you don't belong to any CIPM chapter here, please do. We have in Ogun State alone, we have Remo and Ijebu coming up. They're going to be inaugurated next week. So if your industry is around Interchange, Ijebu, Shagamu, all of that, these guys meet physically and they are doing a lot. If you're in Abeokuta, there's Abeokuta chapter there. If you are a civil servant, there is Okemoson. There's RCCG here. There is Ibeshe Laro. There is Ota. There is Agbara. All of these communities of growth, please join them. Get involved. Get involved. Get involved. Get involved. And you'll thank me for this. I've talked again and again about emotional bank accounts. Ẹni ò ṣe ń di pẹpẹ ò lè jẹ́ ń di pẹpẹ. O ò ṣági lọ́gbẹ́, o ò tagọ̀rọ̀ lọ́fà. Odede ọ̀pẹ ọ̀gbẹ́ni sókè, ṣé ríro ní ro ní. Apologies to those who don't understand Yoruba. You can ask your neighbor who understand to interpret that to you. You have not given, you want to collect. You sow before you reap. All of these mentors, there are ways to reach them without begging. Everybody has a need. identify the needs in their lives and meet these needs, they are going to give you a blank check. And that's when you will come in. But don't make, the payment about only monetary. Ask them, sir, I don't need money. This is what I need. I need to know how you got here. And they begin to teach you. They begin to coach you. That's how you arrive. That's how you soar. So I'll leave that there. Embrace change. Embrace change. Embrace change. When we talk about HR today, one thing is clear: change, a constant thing, like every other thing. So if you think HR is about policies and payrolls, you're missing the big picture. Really at the forefront of driving change. Over there, digital transformation, rolling out, remove work, pushing diversity and inclusion agendas, or even talent restructuring during tough business cycles. Is about change. And it's not enough to just adapt to change. The real standouts in our profession are the ones who proactively lead change. They are proactively. You have to be a rebel sometimes. Yes, you have to be a rebel sometimes. Those who say, hey, I'm not waiting for someone to tell me what's next. I want to be the one shaping it. I want to be the one shaping. As you are led by the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, you act, you move. Organizations are looking for disruptors because they themselves, the marketing department is confused, sales confused, the leadership is confused. They don't know what's next. They don't know. So you that you are motivated, as inspired, you lead. So what does that look like in practice? One practical way is to deliberately step outside your comfort zone. Volunteer for those cross-functional projects. Maybe your IT team is launching a new, internal communication platform. Jump in, help them roll it out, and bring, an HR lens into that project. Yes, or take internships or stretch assignments that expose you to different HR functions. Recruitment, talent management, etc. Whatever it is, I remember someone I work with, led a project to redesign their university career fair. That kind of leadership experience, builds your change agility. You're not just doing HR, you are learning how to lead change. I'm going to leave that. And the last but not the least, and this is where I'm going to end today. So to wrap it up, I really want us to keep front and center. Think global, act local. This is something I've seen play out over and over again in our profession. All of us know we are living in a world where HR is no longer just local or national. Even CIPM is not local. We are in Canada, we are in UK, we are in US. So you can no longer continue to do things as you used to do and expect global relevance. So we're talking about, big trends, remote work, diversity, equity, inclusion, agile organizational models, designing employee experiences that will resonate across cultures, across borders. Yes, designing that kind of experience. And it's not just enough to just follow global trends blindly. To really add value and stay competitive, you have to contextualize those trends. You conceptualize this, and you contextualize it for your local environment. You're going to contextualize for your local environment. So we have specific labor laws in Nigeria, labor laws, or the Pension Reform Act, that govern how we manage contracts, benefits, pensions, labor relations. So if you don't understand how to navigate those, you are going to find yourself running into compliance risk pretty quickly. So as you are thinking global, you are adapting to your local environment. You are adapting to your local environment. Say you are designing a global talent acquisition strategy based on best practices from multinational firms. Congratulations. That's a great idea. But You can't just copy and paste. You can't copy and paste it here. You need to adjust your interview frameworks to reflect local culture nuances in Nigeria. Maybe adapt how you phrase competency questions so you are culturally relevant and still rigorously, enough to assess global competencies. You are adapting global practices to your local environment. Also, union dynamism is there for some of our organizations that are unionized. So understanding union dynamics in Nigeria and how the National Industrial Court operates is very, very critical. Let me repeat that again. Understanding how the National Industrial Court operates, you need it to a bit of law. So you want to be able to handle collective bargaining or labor disputes without escalating unnecessarily. If the organization catches fire on your head, the MD will shift the blame to you. Because everything, when the employees misbehave, is HR. So they're going to shift the blame on you. And that comes from deep local knowledge. Another big piece, cross-cultural competence. That you are managing teams in a multinational company or a diverse local firm, especially in this kind of country, with rich ethnic diversity, you have to lead inclusively. Communication styles, will differ, value will differ. So there's no one size fits all leadership approach that will work in this situation. So if you want to really engage your workforce, you need to be sensitive to those differences. So this is few minutes to 2. And I want to just leave it here.